Ladies and gentlemen, now tomorrow we've got the global launch of Ni No Kuni Cross Worlds, and the pre-download has just gone out this morning. I've been playing this game on the Korean version for the last 3 weeks, and today I wanted to do a bit of a high-level overview of some of the biggest pros and cons of this game, because it's got a lot of really good stuff, but also certain stuff that some people are going to find like a little bit annoying, and also stuff to just be a bit aware of coming in as a brand new player. So we're going to start with the positive today, the really good stuff about this game. There is so much content. Like, there is a ridiculous amount of different dungeons, modes of gameplay. This game, I believe, has been live on the Korean and Japanese version for about a year now. And the map as well is just like absolutely massive. Like, the world is very huge. There's all sorts of different challenges. I think there's like 3 or 4 different modes of PvP. You've got like knighthood battles and knighthood wars, which are kind of like I think you set up like a tower defense and then have to, get through your opponents as well. So yeah, there's just a lot of content on the Korean and Japanese version. But again, this has been out for, I believe, almost a year now. So Global is probably going to release like a little bit behind, I would assume. But I don't think like that's as important in comparison to other games like Seven Deadly Sins, due to the fact that you've got like 5 base characters, and the banners and new stuff that comes out are really for only the familiars and pets. However, those are quite important for kind of like min-maxing an endgame. So yeah, it's got a lot of content. There is just a ridiculous amount of stuff to do, and like HT Has Me on YouTube has a fantastic video, which you should search up if you're looking to find out about everything, kind of going over all of the endgame content. So I highly recommend that one. I'll give a link to it in the description. Also, if you are a Studio Ghibli fan, like the art direction, locations, characters, story, visual, and audio experience, like I cannot hype enough how good some of the sound effects in this game are, man. Like, the sound design is just awesome across the board, and I really recommend for kind of the full immersive experience, like just playing this game with the sound on, man. It is really, really good. But yeah, Studio Ghibli fans absolutely gonna love this. Like, the world just feels amazing. It looks so incredibly good. So yeah, they did an absolutely outstanding job. Also, for exploring the open world, there's all sorts of like treasure chests and also pets hidden that if you feed, you can get them as your familiar. So yeah, there's some like cool stuff kind of baked into the open world experience as well. I would imagine fairly shortly, if it's not already out there, it probably is somewhere. There's going to be like some sort of interactive map or guide with like all of the chest locations. So yeah, if anybody in the comment section knows, I had a little bit of a look for it, but I couldn't find anything easily. But if anybody knows where that guide from the Korean or Japanese version is buried, I'd be very interested in finding it. So yeah, there's lots of like stuff in the open world as well. And also the daily grind, kind of once you've gotten fairly in and kind of done everything once, can be done very quick and easily. For all the important stuff, you can literally do it in like 5 to 10 minutes. There's a lot of like quality of life features in this game that don't kind of waste your time. So once you've done like a certain daily dungeon, you can replay it to get the exact same score you got as like your last score or highest score. So yeah, it just makes it very easy if you are kind of playing throughout the week, but on the weekend, you just want to go in, you got like 10 minutes spare, not really dedicate a lot of time. Again, there's ways to get stuff done very, very quickly for some of the core tasks that you actually need to do manually. And also, this is a thing that may be considered like a little bit of a pro, a little bit of a con. I can see how both of these come into play, but the inventory, achievements, talent system, and many progression systems in this game are shared across the whole account. So there's all sorts of additional stuff that you can get that gives kind of stat bonuses to your entire account as well. And it's kind of one of those games where it's a little bit more like if you want to min max, you've got to level up the entire account and do kind of various achievements and level up all the additional characters and unlock the cosmetics and kind of like fuse all the items. There's a lot of stuff to do to get kind of max power, but it's like very helpful for the familiar and pet system that everything is account wide, because familiars and pets are like a huge part of kind of like your stats and power level. And yeah, the fact that they're kind of shared across all of the characters is really, really good. And then you've got kind of got all these base systems, which means if you take like a character up to like level 40 or even like max level as well, like any other alts that you level are going to be much easier to level. If they're 10 levels below, they get bonus XP, plus they're going to have like an absolute metric ton of additional stats. So yeah, it makes it very easy, like once you push ahead with one character, to level up alternative characters as well. But again, there is a lot of stuff in this game that is like fully shared via account, including like equipment and accessories. And again, that's quite useful. I think the only thing that's a bit more character individual are the weapons. Like every single character has a different weapon. So yeah, upgrading those, again, it's going to be like a slightly different and additional gacha pools that you need to do in order to get that. So yeah, I think those are some like the biggest pros of the game. There's a lot of really good stuff. The content, the world feels amazing. Like the daily grind, I think once you get into it, really isn't too bad for kind of the cool stuff that you need to do. But we're going to move on to some of the cons, I believe, of Ni No Kuni. Stuff that I think is like a little bit of a turn off for some players and something you may experience like shortly after kind of downloading and playing this game. So most of the early game is an auto fest. I believe this is also going to be true for global. Like there is not much manual input required, kind of until you get to like level. If you're doing like proper upgrades and kind of keeping on top of topping your account up, you really don't need to do anything manual until like around like level like 30 or so. Like it's all very, very easy to start off with. So yeah, most of the early game, again, you're gonna realize that it just doesn't really matter if you play it or not, but then it's gonna get to a certain point around like between level 30 and 40, that if you're not manually playing, you're just going to die on everything. So yeah, just something to keep in mind there. Like the early game is very, very easy. All of it can be done on auto. There's auto pathing, and that's really like the kind of the best thing to do is just hammer that out and get through it there. If you want to move on to some slightly more interesting content, but the later game, again, you cannot get away with auto. If you try and auto stuff like the pirate daily boss, you're gonna get wrecked in like 10-15 seconds or so. So yeah, there is gameplay required a little bit later on, but if that's something that's kind of turning you off when you download this game and play it, again, do know that it does require manual input a little bit later. There is also very excessive gacha. There's gacha for like absolutely everything in this game. Summoning familiars, summoning weapons as well, but also the whole upgrade system of kind of like merging familiars. Every like couple of hours you get like free what is it, eggs to hatch as well. But like every single place you look in this game, there is like all sorts of crazy gacha. So yeah, if you like kind of like going around and like clicking all the buttons and having like that dopamine hit light up, then yeah, it's gonna be paradise, man. However, if you're one of those people that's very annoyed by having like a single red notification, dude, the UI in this game is really, really going to annoy you. So just like that to keep in mind again with the weapon system, the armor system, the familiar system, like absolutely everything. There is so much gacha, and then there's also like gacha if you get unlucky and like fail an upgrade, because once you level up familiars and weapons to a certain level, there's not a guaranteed chance that stuff is going to happen unless you use multiple resources. But if you fail, then you get clovers, which also further upgrade your account power. So there's kind of like a built-in pity system on top of all of this gacha as well. But yeah, there's just gacha for days. Like this is like probably one of the most gacha heavy games that I've ever seen. And the more you play this game and the more you understand the systems, you're really gonna, see just how much gacha there is. Also, something to keep in mind is XP gets really dry around like level 35 to 40, and then kind of swings into leveling from your daily rewards and kind of objectives. The quick auto farm quest, the knighthood, and then just like passively leaving your character to auto farm. And this is like a big thing of leveling up, is like a lot of it, if you really want to get like ahead of the pack and grind out very heavily, is you're going to need to leave your character kind of in the very densely populated zones to auto farm for quite a significant amount of time. They actually have this like inbuilt AI feature where you can what is it, leave the AI just auto farming, and I think like close the game if you want to, but I think that only lasts for like a maximum of 4 hours. But yeah, if you're one of the like these sweaty min maxers like myself, this is a game that you are going to have to like run around the clock if you do want to be one of the first people to max level. And for whales, there's also additional advantages in buying like these green XP potions like up here to the top left, and also like additional what is it, charges for the daily XP quest as well, and kind of re-rolling those. So yeah, in terms of whales leveling faster, they definitely will. They have huge advantages to leveling resources. But yeah, it's quite easy to kind of blast a character up to level 35. And then it appears to be quite heavily pay to win towards the end game. This is just because, again, whales can get ahead so much faster. And whenever like a new familiar banner comes out, and some of these familiars, these pet companions, they have like some very overpowered abilities and also additional passives for both PvE and PvP. And also familiars have like I think it's like a maximum of 10 merging upgrade system. So yeah, if you are a massive blubbery whale toward the end game, again, it's going to be summoning on that banner, like, max merging those and just like pushing your stats and additional bonus abilities to crazy levels. So I believe the end game of this, at least to the best of my knowledge so far, is gonna slide towards heavily pay to win in certain aspects. I don't know the kind of intricacies of matchmaking and everything. But yeah, just something to keep in mind. However, I do believe as a free-to-play player, again, this game gives you a lot of content to enjoy. So you can probably enjoy, I would say, about like 80 to 90% of the game without getting smashed in the face. And again, whales, when you're not facing them in PvP, towards some of those endgame dungeons, they can be helpful allies. But yeah, I think whales and endgame PvP, man, are going to be a little bit disgusting, I would assume. But yeah, we'll see how that all plays out on the global version. And also, this is kind of like another thing that's a bit more personal to me is like the combat engine. I feel like could feel a little bit smoother. It took me a bit of getting used to. I wanted to do stuff like kind of like run away from opponents while like shooting them. But you don't really have the feature to kind of like run and gun. And also when running, you kind of need to, turn around and like shoot your opponent. And, for a new free-to-play player, the range classes are much easier to level with in comparison to melee. So yeah, I just kind of felt playing this, the combat engine and the way that they've designed the combat systems, like they could feel a bit smoother. It took me a bit of getting used to. At first, it did kind of feel like borderline a little bit clunky. But yeah, after like a few days to a week, like honestly, it really hasn't bothered me too much now. And just in terms of like device performance, it didn't run that well. It ran, but it wasn't like smooth on either BlueStacks or my Samsung Galaxy S9. But it runs amazingly, very smoothly on the native PC client. So yeah, I would heavily recommend if you do want to play this game for just kind of like maximum visuals, maximum smoothness. If you got a half decent PC, man, again, should probably run the best on there. However, unfortunately, due to kind of like download restrictions, I haven't had the chance to test it out on like the latest iPhone. But I would imagine, generally speaking, a lot of developers heavily optimize games for the latest iPhone or kind of a range of recent iPhones due to the fact that iPhone users tend to spend a lot more in video games, mobile app purchases in comparison to Android, just generally speaking. So yeah, I would imagine it's probably going to run like pretty well, both on the PC client for global and also on iOS as well. But yeah, just wanted to throw that out there. If you kind of find it's not running that well on like BlueStacks or a slightly older Android phone. But yeah, overall, I think this game, like, it has a lot of enjoyment. Again, there's so much to it. Got like whole mount system as well, which again is additional gacha. You've got like upgrades on that, which heavily diminish the chance to successfully upgrade your mount, which also gives your entire account stats. So yeah, there's just so much in terms of like progression systems and the world and everything. But honestly, I really think this game is like worth trying out to see if you enjoy it with a couple of friends. And you know, if you don't, you don't. Like, some people are going to really love this game. Some people, it's going to be like a little bit too much grinding or gacha for them. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, let me know your thoughts on Ni No Kuni Crossworlds, and hopefully you enjoyed this very honest review today, talking about some of the biggest pros and cons of this game. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. Are there any other like big pros or big cons that we haven't talked about in this video that you think like people should be aware of before kind of jumping into Ni No Kuni? But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all very much for watching. Take care, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day.
You are not subscribed to the whale sin of spending? Who decided that? Subscribe now, or enjoy the bitter taste of regret.